So this is a 2004 Gibson Les Paul Classic 1960. So what does that mean? Um, the Gibson Les Paul Classic is basically a reissue of the Gibson 1960 Les Paul Standard. So let me tell you about this guitar a little bit. In August of 2023, a friend of mine from Nashville texted me and said that he had a friend in the Chicago area who was kind of desperate for money and needed to sell his Les Paul. And did I know anybody, or would I want to go take a look at it, or what? So I have always wanted a Les Paul. So it's just never wanted to pay for one. Because they're crazy, stupid expensive, and if I'm going to spend, big dollars on a guitar, I'd probably go for another Paul Reed Smith. But anyway, I've always wanted a Les Paul just because they sound great. They're just great guitars. And anyway, so I said, yeah, I'd take a look at it and see if I was interested. And so talked to my wife, and she's amazing and wonderful, and she gave me her blessing and said, if you want the guitar, go get it, So I grabbed my my youngest son, and we took a little safari down to Lake Geneva and met the buyer there. And you go and look at guitars, it's kind of like going to look at puppies, isn't it? You're not coming home empty-handed. So we took that little road trip and took a look at the guitar, and this is a guitar that I would say is in good condition. It certainly has some natural relicking on it. The guy definitely played it, and it's definitely been well loved over the years. So I made him an offer, played it a little bit, made him an offer, and probably overpaid just a little bit for it, but not too much. And that's okay because the guy obviously really needed the money. You could just tell he was kind of in dire straits. So it was a win-win. I got a nice guitar out of the deal, and he got a fair amount of money for it. Anyway, the guy was a heavy smoker, so it took me a couple of months just to get the stench out of the guitar, and it's still got. I think it's even after multiple cleanings, I think it still has some film on it that could stand a good buffing to get off of there. But that's okay. It's part of the mojo, right? Part of the life of the guitar and part of the story behind it. So the Gibson Les Paul Classic was first introduced in 1990. It was designed basically to be a reissue of the 1960 version of the Gibson Les Paul. Now, Gibson went through several iterations of the Les Paul during the 50s. So, the first ones came out in 1952, and they had a trapeze tailpiece with a single bridge unit on it, and kind of a funky neck angle. They weren't really the best guitars in the world to play, but they had the P90 pickups because that was the Gibson standard at the time. And then in 1953, they moved over to the stop tailpiece and the two pneumatic bridge. And in 1957, they moved over to the Gibson's humbucker pickups, the PAF pickups. And in all of the 50s years, they always had kind of a big, beefy, baseball batty kind of neck to them. Lots of substance to it. In 1960, they slimmed out the neck quite a bit. So the difference between a 59 Les Paul and a 60 Les Paul really narrows down to just the neck. Necks are a lot thinner. So this one obviously is based on that 1960, so it has that thinner neck profile, which I personally really like. It just fits my hand really well. I like that a lot. Also like the 1960s, it's got they kind of aged them a little bit to make them look older. It's got the binding is yellowed. The celluloid inlays here are yellowed. It has a vintage style logo, a little bit thinner headstock like the 1960s did. Also a plain top. So a lot of the 50s guitars had highly figured maple caps on them, so it was flamed or in some cases even quilted a little bit. but they went to kind of a plain top and put more emphasis on the finish of the guitar. So that's what this one has. It's a plain top, which I actually kind of prefer. I like that in the Les Paul as opposed to the really highly figured ones. Yeah, they're very beautiful and all that, but I kind of like that. I kind of like the look of the plain top as well. So anyway, it's otherwise it's a standard Gibson Les Paul. It's got a mahogany body with a maple top and maple neck, and this one's got mahogany neck and 2 pickups, through a pickup selector switch, volume and tones. Pretty standard and pretty straightforward for a Les Paul. Now, Gibson went through a lot of highs and lows in terms of their quality and in terms of the materials they were able to source and the construction quality as well. There's an era that generally is called the good wood era for Gibson, and that's somewhere between roughly 2000 and 2006 when they were able to source really, really good quality materials and their construction quality was at a high. So that 2000 to 2006 era of Gibson Les Pauls is generally considered some of the best ones that are out there in terms of quality overall. This one's a 2004, so it falls in that range. Now, another thing about an original 1960 Les Paul was solid mahogany and maple and was a heavy guitar. These things could weigh anywhere from 9 to 12 pounds. There were some really, really heavy guitars. So this one is a weight-relieved model. So what they did was, in the mahogany body, they routed out basically holes. They drilled holes in it. And this one it's a 9-hole weight relief, so they drilled out, I don't know, probably 1-inch holes, and they just drilled the wood out to make it lighter and then put the maple cap on it. So it's a little bit lighter. This one weighs in at about 8.5 pounds. So it's certainly more manageable and certainly easy to play for a full gig. This guitar plays like butter. I mean, I'm very happy with it. I made a very good purchase with this one. Very nice guitar. It's set up. I did a little tweaking on the setup, but it's everything's in great shape. The frets are in great shape. It just plays beautifully. So one of the things I'm not all that crazy about now, these Les Paul Classics came standard with the ceramic pickups, which is I think it's a 496 and a 500T pickup, and they're a little bit cold sounding to me. I'd like to get something a little bit warmer, a little bit nicer in here. So I'll probably get to that point at some point. I'll probably swap out the pickups at some point. But I mean, in the meantime, though, I think it sounds great. It certainly plays beautiful. So my jury's still out. I got a lot of projects on my plate right now, and swapping the pickups on this guitar is kind of far down the list, but it's on the list. So that's what I know. Anyway, I think it sounds great. I mean, the neck pickup or the bridge pickup to me is a little bit thin sounding, but it's certainly not bad. That's the neck pickup. So I think it sounds great. I think it's a great sounding guitar. If you bring in both pickups. So you still get some of that nice woodiness, and you still get some of that fullness, that nice richness that Les Pauls are so characteristic of. If we do just the bridge pickup. So to me, it's a little bit thin sounding, but it still has that nice full gnarliness of a Les Paul. I think it sounds better when it's cranked up a little bit. You add a little overdrive. anyway, there you have it. That's my 2004 Gibson Les Paul Classic. Ask any questions you like. I'm happy to always respond and help. I think it's a great guitar. Certainly like this one a lot. So, thank you very much. That's my story. Have a great day.